Hi there, I'm Chesang.
Hi, I'm Lucas.
Hello, my name is Adele.
And Fidel is I. Welcome to another episode of Follow the Sun by Ogilvy Africa. So today we're here to talk about content being king.
And before that, we must answer the most important question. What is content?
So I checked, and according to Google, content is information contained within communication media. It includes everything from the internet, TV, radio, physical art, and even live events. It is directed at an end user or audience in the sectors of publishing, art, and communication.
In short, what our ancestors used to call stories is now what the digital era calls content.
And rightfully so, because of the huge changes and differences in today's media.
Unlike us, our ancestors weren't influencers on Instagram, they weren't telling stories on TikTok, they're just telling stories within the fire pit, singing, having wall paintings. But today, everything's on Netflix, Showmax, DSTV, YouTube, all these platforms.
And I guess we can say that digitization of communication is actually content, yeah?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the clear distinction came with the emergence of social media. By connecting different people from all corners of the world together, it changed how we communicate, from what we say to how we say it.
So guys, when do you think social media started?
Well, if you take a poll, most people will say Facebook.
When we first launched, we were hoping for, maybe 400, 500 people. Harvard didn't have a Facebook, so that's the gap that we were trying to fill. And now we're at 100,000 people, so who knows where we're going next. We're hoping to have many more universities by the fall, hopefully over 100 or 200. And from there, we're going to launch a bunch of side applications, which should keep people coming back to the site and maybe could make something cool.
It really started with platforms like MySpace, Friendster, High Five, so it goes way back.
Oh, Chesang, you've mentioned High Five, you've taken my mind. Back then, before anything, there was, yahoo.com. Before LOL, there was AOL.com, and I was actually on High Five.
I remember back in the day, there were cyber cafes in every neighborhood. We'd spend all day poking each other on Facebook.
And creating those funny pages, oh my goodness, like different names like Fly Guy 254.
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Oh my goodness, those were the good days. We have really come a long way from then. Now there's an app for everyone and everyone is on the app.
Our everyday photographers have IG, our conversationalists are headstrong on Twitter, our family and friends have Facebook, and professionals have LinkedIn.
Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat. Well, what would we do without social media? You all use it, and probably several times a day. But what do Kenyans use the platforms for exactly?
Kenyans have really embraced social media, and it shows, from the uptake of 3 million in 2014 to 12 million in 2021. Facebook accounting for 47% of those users, followed by Twitter with 24%, then YouTube with 15%, and this one will surprise you, Pinterest with 7%, then IG with 6%. And then followed by Reddit with 1%.
Really? I honestly thought Instagram would be way up there, and TikTok, it didn't even make the cut.
Those are the stats. I bet TikTok is following with 0.something%.
It's interesting how the use of social media has changed over the years. Back then, it was about checking on your mates, your long-lost friends, guys you're with in primary school, high school, campus, but now it's about growing your business, advertising on this space. And just a fun fact, like in Kenya, reports show that in 2022, digital advertising has surpassed television advertising.
So I guess we can say that content is king, right? As it has come a long, long way, evolving and maintaining its relevance through time.
And how do you guys feel about content here at home?
I think the Kenyan voice is becoming bigger and bigger each passing day.
Agreed. I think Kenya has a lot to offer and show the world.
Vivian finds out this is your family land. She will do everything in her power to prove it doesn't belong to you.
You're mine. Nimewambia sihami. Mtauliwa, ko tayari kujihami.
Why do you want to fight for a place that's fighting you?
We have to fulfill your father's mission.
Watu wangu wa Silanga, tunafaa kuact sahi. No, okomisia. Esia na sito. No, koya, malito. Mina ikoro.
Do you ever imagine dying on the job? You think Baraza did this?
Grief is a powerful motive. I've been planning a burial, not a murder.
Secretary Kenneth.
There's no need for threats. It's a fact, not a threat.
You know what that means?
Who's your captain?
They are going to kill
kill us all.
Who's trying to kill us?
Please tell me you have something. Where do you think the money comes from?
All thanks to globalization and enhancement in communication. And of course, social media being one of the largest platforms, that's where our voice is heard the loudest. And I would go as far as saying its impact has been felt in all aspects.
How?
Think social purpose. Our very own Kenyans on Twitter, aka KOT, have been very loud in talking about activism, social justice, and so on and so forth.
What is Kenyans on Twitter?
I think they're the most important thing in this country right now.
When the time comes to rally around a particular idea, there's a way that Kenyans on Twitter do it.
We have secured ourselves a spot in the Internet Hall of Fame with popular hashtags like Occupy the Playground, which is about land grabbing and police brutality.
This is the Langata Road Primary School playground that you can see behind me. And on the January the 19th, something like about 300 students reclaimed this playground from a private developer that had attempted to grab it. The rest of the Kenyan citizens who are here, who are concerned about this, including ourselves, we were mobilized through Twitter. It went viral. It trended several days.
After the hashtag, we re-evaluated how the police treat protesters. We also had the famous hashtag Repeal 162, which started a national conversation on LGBTQA community.
We urge the government to take immediate and deliberate steps to protect and uphold the rights of the LGBTIQ persons by repealing sections 162A and C and 165 of the Penal Code of Kenya and introducing legislation that prohibits discrimination on all grounds, including sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression.
And my personal favorite, someone tell CNN.
Kenyans are ridiculing the US network on Twitter for its Hotbed of Terror report. And if we take a look at this image here, you actually see this is what was being broadcast on air. And the strap at the bottom of the screen reads, "Security fears as Obama heads to terror hotbed." And it's those two words that people in Kenya are objecting to. They say that they are the victims of terror, not the place where terror is actually breeding.
A hashtag that started a conversation on how international media reports on African stories. One conversation that no one was ready to have, but we all needed to have it. KOT, Kenyans on Twitter, have always been a reminder that when we come together, we make a bigger difference.
Historically, since 2009, continued to place themselves at the world stage when it comes to turning hashtags into movements, so ideas much larger.
Kenyans on Twitter have replaced mainstream media when it comes to facts. So I deal a lot on corruption. Like a document like this, for instance, I got it yesterday. Documents are brought to me and I place them in tweets.
And even cultural influence. As the generation that grew up with internet, we're more exposed and aware of the different cultures out there, as we are constantly, every single day, interacting with each other through social media, right? And these interactions are giving each one of us a new respect and awareness of the different cultures out there.
It's seen in the different integration of things. What's a common thing between Kenyan cuisine and Japanese anime? If I asked that question decades ago, you'd probably say nothing. But now, a Japanese anime called Jujutsu Kaisen.
Is it the one that features Kenya and its culture?
Yeah, and all this can be credited to platforms like Showmax, Netflix, Hulu. They've given us the opportunity to showcase our culture both globally and locally.
When you think about it, content has really opened up Kenya for new businesses.
And with social media, so many people are now jumping into influencership. Like, it's actually become a business right now and you can earn money through it.
Hi, my name is Joy Kendi. I am 34 years old and I'm a fashion content creator based in Nairobi, Kenya. I have been doing this for well over 11 years, maybe 12 years. And it started off as a hobby. I had a website called Our Style Kenya where I would document my fashion journey. And I would basically show the people who would read my blog how to shop on a budget, how to style on a budget, shopping secondhand, shopping everywhere from Ngara to Gikomba to a market. And it slowly just evolved over time to being a lifestyle brand and what it is now. So when did I realize that this could be a business? It took me a very long time, especially compared to other content creators. I just could not figure out how to turn what I was doing into a business. And I realized one of my biggest issues was the fact that I was very focused on just fashion and beauty, which would kind of just narrow me down to very specific brands who would ever want to work with me. But once I figured that out, I decided to turn myself into a lifestyle brand, meaning that I could talk about anything from fashion to beauty, food, travel, tech, whatever it is. As long as it was lifestyle and it revolved around me, I figured out that I could include that now into the content that I do. So working with different brands then versus now, very simple. Then a lot of brands really did not understand the importance or the need of working with content creators or influencers. Then they kind of used to lean more towards the traditional aspect when it comes to advertising. So TVC, billboards, newspaper. And over time, they really started to understand the importance of content creators and influencers, because we have a very specific audience that follows us for a very specific reason. And we have direct contact with those people. So if a brand, let's say, is talking about skincare or whatever the case, if they want to speak to an audience that is all about taking care of their skin, they know which influencer would be able to speak directly to their audience. And it took a lot of brands a while to figure that part out, but I feel like a lot of them definitely understand, and a lot of Kenyan brands now are more than willing to work with content creators and influencers, to the point that now I can comfortably say that this is 100% my full-time job. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I put my brain in the aspect of it becoming a business. So I learned everything about it, everything from how to speak to agencies, proposals, how to negotiate, rate cards, all of that. I learned also the production aspect, how to shoot, how to edit, basically had to do everything by myself so I could fully understand it as a business. And that is my story with content creation and what it is that I do.
From our presence of social media businesses, you'll find that Kenya is really gaining appreciation on a global scale for that side hustle mentality. That I will succeed no matter what my circumstances are has really opened Kenya up to be a hub for new businesses and new business ventures.
And it reflects with global giants like Microsoft and Google launching hubs in Kenya, injecting life and creating new opportunities in the market.
Content has really changed the world. It's good to see all these changes globally and locally.
But one thing we believe here at Ogilvy Africa is that Kenya will be at the forefront of that change.
An average Kenyan spends 3 hours and 3 minutes a day on the internet. A very large chunk of it is spent consuming content on social media. In sports, innovation, and entertainment, the content creators of Kenya are bringing their authenticity with a dash of humor to the content they're creating. The time they're spending creating and curating this content is redefining how we do business. It's giving people a source of learning and making their voices heard, not just in the country, but around the world. Content can be a hard thing to define. My favorite definition is a simple one, that content is actually everything that adds value to the reader's or the listener's life. We sincerely hope we added some value to yours. Thank you for joining us, and see you on the next episode.